Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm your host, Alex Harriman, here with my co-host, Jerrika Alex, in the gym with the baby, making it work. Thanks for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey, Jer.
Hey, yeah, I'm just multitasking here. It's good.
You know what?
My life is all about these days.
This is what our clients are all about. It's like, it's so real. Perfect. It's so real. Everybody seeing that is like, oh, that's cool because I can totally relate to that.
This has been the best thing for me as a coach because now I can ultra relate with all of our clients. Like I was very like sympathetic and empathetic, I can understand, but now I can really understand.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
Yeah, it's something that you can't really explain until you've done it.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? What's new with you?
Nothing. Just like lots of summer fun stuff right now. So I shouldn't say nothing because it is, but we're right in like the thick of the summer and doing some of the summer fun stuff. So like Emerson loves swimming. Have you ever heard, you're big into baseball, so have you ever heard of blitzball?
Yeah, of course.
So like we play blitzball, like not the actual game. We'll just go to the field and blast that because it's like it's a light enough bat that he can hit it and then like you can crush it and it doesn't go
over
away, right?
You can like try to catch your ball even because it's not
so things like blitzball, swimming. He got like a little water dinghy that he wanted to learn how to row. So like just teaching him how to actually paddle. It's a pretty fun age now because he's learning like the stuff where we can actually teach body mechanics and the things that you and I are passionate about that you can't do yet with a baby.
No, I'm like, okay, this is how you crawl. Put your legs. I'm kind of like, it's our 15 minutes of physio today. That's what I say every day. 15 minutes of physio. It's like, Mom, oh boy. It's more for myself, really.
Yeah, it is. It's fun because it's what we're passionate about. So it's cool. It's seeing it with from a kid's point of view. Like he was in the rowboat. Awesome. He was in the rowboat the other day, and he was like, the paddles were staying in the water, and he was just rowing back and forth. So you can imagine like what the boat was doing. And it's just like it's funny that like before you have the idea of physics and body mechanics and how things work, just seeing somebody try to logically work through that sequence.
That's so cool. That's fun. It gives you a good laugh too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love it. And it's like anything to make kids excited to be outside is great because it's so easy for them to just want to sit in front of a TV, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. What's the plan today?
We're talking, I was say, speaking of kids in front of TVs, but we're talking purpose over pleasure. One of Breaking 90's guiding principles. I think we've talked about it in the past, but it's time to bring it back. And it's one of the best reminders.
It is. So for those of you who don't know, we have 5 guiding principles. You can circle through our episodes. You can find us talking about them all. We've created these 5 guiding principles because we believe if we really break health and fitness down into the simplest version possible, that these 5 guiding principles encompass that and teach that in a way that it's digestible. So I'm not going to get into all 5 today, but we certainly can cover it on other podcasts, or you can reach out to us to talk about it. Purpose over pleasure. I think it's one that you brought to the table, actually, Jerry. I can't remember specifically, but
I love that you credit me for this one all the time, and I'll take it. I'm not sure, but we'll roll with it.
Maybe it's not that you brought it to the table, but I think you just you've explained it to our clients in a way that they really resonate with it.
I just love to like put it into that question, right? Like regardless of what context, like we can start with nutrition. It's just that question about asking yourself, am I eating this or am I meal prepping this for purpose or for pleasure? And, I've explained it in a way that both of them they're not necessarily a bad thing. Like pleasure is not a bad thing. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying that each one holds a place in your lifestyle. So let's use am I eating this cheeseburger for purpose or for pleasure? And it might be purpose. It might fit, might be perfectly in line with your goals. I have a purpose for eating this and it makes me feel good, whatever. Or maybe it's for pleasure because you've loaded it with everything imaginable, peanut butter, mayo, loaded it with calories. And you're like, I'm the pleasure is that I want to enjoy this meal. I'm out with friends and this is what I chose on the menu. So it's not that the pleasure is necessarily a bad thing, but it's about recognizing where it fits in your goals. Sometimes it might be that pleasure takes 80% and purpose is falling in the 20%. And that's where we have that conversation about, okay, maybe let's start slowly making that switch over to finding things that align more for purpose. But they both certainly have a place.
So this is where on the nutrition side of things, I look at it slightly different. If we say you're going out with friends and you're having that burger, then it does have a high level of purpose. The purpose is
Right.
the event, the social gathering, the being with your friends. If you're like sitting at home on your couch watching Netflix and you're ordering skip the dishes burger
Right.
included, like that's all pleasure. That's all pleasure because you had the ability to order anything off Skip the Dishes or make something in your fridge. But like, just if we're gonna order off Skip the Dishes and sit on our couch and do nothing, we had the ability to choose anything. You chose that. That's pleasure. As soon as we bring in a specific social event or like event or reason behind the meal, that creates some level of purpose, which I can get behind. And I think we need to just breaking your choices down with this filter when it comes to nutrition is really, really helpful because it's often the things that are like Jer said, like 180 to 100% pleasure driven that we need to change. If
Mm-hmm.
it's just like the mindless snacking on the couch, the mindless trips to the fridge when you're not even hungry, like those are like
Those don't have a purpose.
they don't have a purpose.
Right.
They're highly, highly pleasure driven choices that are rarely in line with our goals. But for the occasional like family gathering or like pizza night with friends, when you choose to have that food, that's fine. Like that's human, guys. It doesn't mean we binge, we go nuts and we go off the rails, but like if all of your friends are going out for pizza, we don't expect you to bring a prepackaged broccoli and chicken meal and not eat the pizza unless it's happening so frequently that you can't achieve your goals. If this is like a once a month thing, go out and have a couple slices of pizza, be
Yeah.
present with your friends and enjoy that. That the purpose there is strong to justify that. That doesn't mean it has to start snowballing where you've had 12 slices of pizza because then it's quickly changing the dial over from purpose to pleasure.
I just love it because I think it's such a good opportunity to learn about ourselves, right? Because so many people listening might be like, "Well, my snacking has a purpose. Like I'm hungry, I'm snacking, or like I genuinely feel like I need that food." But then it's like when you sit down and ask yourself that question, and you actually take time to reflect. It's like, "Am I bored? Am I dehydrated?" Like you can start recognizing that, okay, maybe that purpose that I thought was an actual purpose doesn't serve the purpose that I thought, right? So it's like, okay, I'm actually bored. I don't need to snack. So it's such a good sit down reflection tool. One of my favorites, to be honest. And we can apply this into fitness as well.
The fitness side,
Similar,
I definitely want to dive into the fitness side, but before we do, like understand that these are at both ends of this spectrum or dial. We've got purpose and pleasure. Most decisions we make are
right?
somewhere in between. So they have a percentage of purpose, a percentage of pleasure. So you sitting on the couch saying, my purpose is that I'm hungry and I wanted a snack. I agree. There is some level of purpose. That purpose doesn't require you to eat potato chips, though. That
Right.
part is largely coming from the pleasure side of this.
Pleasure is pulling.
You
Yeah.
can have the snack if you're hungry and you need a snack and your body's craving a snack. You can have a snack, but then we need to make our choice. How far are we leaning into purpose or pleasure with what that snack actually is?
That's awesome. I love that you said that. That puts it into really good perspective.
Um, Okay, let's go to the fitness side because this is the one that I think people won't find as obvious.
Similar, though, we can apply the same sort of situations and the same sort of question, right? Am I choosing to not exercise today for a purpose? Like, am I so sore that I can't move? So, my body's telling me I need to rest. That is a really good purpose. Now, we'll dive into that one in a second. But or is it for pleasure in the fact that I'm just being lazy? I haven't done anything today, so I'm going to continue not to do anything, et cetera, et cetera. So like the same sort of question can be applied to certain scenarios. But the first thing I want to touch on was I said, am I choosing not to exercise because I'm sore? I do want to make a small little note here, right? Movement is, we talked about this in the soreness podcast, but movement is one of the best things you can do for soreness. So even if you're saying my purpose to not move. Oh, sorry.
You're okay. You're still good.
Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry. I had a whole phone call coming on my screen. If you're choosing not to exercise today as your purpose because you're sore, still trying to find, like Alex mentioned, there's that dial, right? So still trying to find somewhere where we can get up and move and within reason.
Yeah, like the purpose to not go to the gym and crush a workout makes sense, but
right.
The pleasure to just sit on the couch and
Do
watch
nothing.
12 episodes of Ted Lasso doesn't make sense. So like where in between that do we meet and say this is actually a purpose-driven choice? Because most of our choices should lean heavier on the purpose-driven side than they do on the pleasure-driven side. They can still be a component of both, but if most of our decisions are more driven by purpose, we're going to do really, really well. So I'm not going to go to the gym and crush a workout because I am sore and I my body does need recovery, but I am going to get in a 20-minute recovery walk. That's a very, very different story. Or I am going to sit on the floor and do 20 minutes of mobility while I watch Ted Lasso, and I'm going to watch 2 episodes instead of 12. That's a very, very different outcome.
I think that this goes, I love how we're like, we say when we write them out, purpose over pleasure, we use like the sign, but, or consistency over intensity. We say it this way, but when in reality, all of our guiding principles really have that, middle ground where we want a bit of both. And so I don't want you to mislead you by saying choosing purpose over pleasure every time. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have that happy medium in there. Just it's that you're reflecting and you're understanding that it's not an all or nothing type mentality.
What percentage of this decision is being made from pleasure? What percentage of this decision is being made from purpose? If pleasure is playing a bigger role there, you need to reassess in most situations. In most situations.
Definitely.
The difference is like, Jerry, you talked about like your wedding, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a wedding.
Well, I don't know. It depends on this podcast comes out.
True. No, either way, you're talking about a wedding, like things that are like once in a lifetime opportunities, once in a lifetime things, guys, all already have a much higher purpose driven choice to them, because it's not like, so Jer, for her wedding, like I would say like eat and do whatever you want that day.
Right.
I'd say that to any one of our clients, but that doesn't mean it's just a pleasure-driven choice. It's a purpose-driven choice. I'm choosing, my purpose is to enjoy this day to the fullest, not stress about my exercise and my caloric needs, and do what feels right and be present and celebrate in any capacity that I want to celebrate. Now, she's obviously not going to just go off the rails and eat like shit all day, because then she's going to feel like trash and she's not going to want to dance and party and like hang out with the people that she wants to be around. But she also should feel absolutely zero guilt for any nutritional choice she makes that day or any exercise based choice she makes that day. But that still largely comes from a purpose driven choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's a great example. Now, you said how I can make any food choices I want because this is purpose. You notice that it's like it's an event or it's a special occasion or it's something you've planned in advance. And we talk with our clients about planned events and planned special days. It's not something like every day I'm going to wake up and be like, today I'm going to be present with my friends and I'm just going to enjoy everything. It's that we're looking forward to these events that they don't come as often, right? Still going back to that 80-20, that moderation rule we always talk about, or whatever, wherever you're sitting on that spectrum.
It's a good reminder because we're going to see that a lot in the summer, specifically where people have plans literally every weekend or maybe
yes,
twice a
that's
week.
kind of what I was getting to.
Hey, buddy, there's the third coach.
Oh.
So this is another thing. Like if you are having so many of these gatherings, then it starts leaning way more heavily towards pleasure.
Yeah.
It's no longer a purpose-driven thing if it's so frequently that it's your normal life. And
then you have to start making those sacrifices and decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's happening so frequently that it's holding you back from achieving your health and fitness goals, you have to make some level of sacrifice. And that's where the purpose-driven choices come into play.
Yeah. And then if you're not doing these reflection times, like if you're not actually taking the time to think about this, it can just easily add up. And these pleasure type choices can just come and go constantly all day and you're not even recognizing it. Like these questions that these guiding principles that we throw at you are actual reflection questions, like sitting down. I would want you to genuinely think about them.
Well,
they will make a big difference.
My tip today actually kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying here. So I'm a big fan of like little challenges and like making things into a game and making it fun. And so one thing that I've been playing around with is we break our foods down into points in the Breaking 90 fitness system, so just to make it more manageable and simplified for our clients. But basically, if we look at proteins, fats, and carbs, it's very hard to overconsume proteins, fruits, and vegetables. The fruits and vegetables fall into carbs, but they're like high value carb for very low calories, so that it's hard to overconsume them in the sense that you're going to gain weight. So something that I like to play around with is allowing, this is like similar to intermittent fasting, but allowing unlimited protein, fruits, and vegetables, and then trying to stack my carbs and fats as close to my workouts as possible. So what this does, and it doesn't always play out this way. Like I don't want anybody to be handcuffed to any rules. But what this does is it forces you to move your ass. And then it also
yeah, good point.
right? It also forces you to consciously evaluate the decisions that aren't in line with your goals, because it's very rare that the proteins, fruits, or vegetables are what's holding you back. And we like to demonize carbs and fats, but it's not the carbs or fats that are the problem either. It's the types of carbs and fats we're choosing. So
yep.
if you only stack those close to movement breaks, and like movement break, guys, could be like a 10-minute walk. But if you only stack it close to a movement break, now you consciously have to move your body, take the time to think through it, be like, do I want these chips, or am I actually just hungry and I want to have like a nice chicken and rice meal, right?
Yeah.
So
I like it.
It's a little game that I'm playing with where like if I want something other than protein, fruits, and vegetables, I have to add a movement break, even something as small as like a 10-minute walk. So it gives me 10 minutes to think through it and really assess what those carbs and fats are going to look like for that meal.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you're choosing better carbs and fats. Like, I love it. What a fun game.
Yeah. And I always hesitate to share these things because people will take it to extremes.
To the next level. Yeah. They'll
It
be like,
doesn't
well,
need to be extreme. It's just giving yourself 5 minutes to assess something like purpose versus pleasure before you make a choice.
Right. And you're not doing it because if you eat carbs and fats, you have, like, it's not like I owe myself exercise. It's not because they're the demon and you have to exercise the calories off, guys. That's not what he's saying. And I want to make that clear. It's just about getting our bodies moving more, because if you're sitting at a desk all day, right, and you have a stationary job, it's just promoting more movement. And this is a good way to do it.
And it stops me from mindlessly choosing something like chips. Like
right, and snacking for no reason.
Chips occasionally, but now if I'm like, I'm gonna go for a 10-minute walk, then come home and I'm like, oh, I don't actually really want those chips. I'd rather make a healthy meal.
Have a meal. Yeah, sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, guys.
Good, I'm glad.
I hope you enjoyed the episode with the three of us. He's really turning it on now. If you guys aren't listening to this YouTube, you gotta get on here and see this baby.
Oh boy.
But thanks for being here with us. If you guys could do me a huge favor wherever you're listening to this, just take a quick screenshot and share it to your Instagram and tag at Breaking 90 Fitness. So we love to see how many people are listening and how many people are here with us. And it helps spread the word about the podcast, which is huge. So we appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next one.